ready for your weekly dose of pixie dust with Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli.
And I'm Patrick Dougal.
And Patrick.
Yes.
We're going to have a very coast to coast episode today because this week we're going to talk about attractions that have versions of the rides or shows on both coasts at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and kind of, I guess, discuss their differences and which one we prefer.
Okay.
And so let's just start at the top, shall we?
Sure.
Buzz Lightyear, Astro Blasters here at Disneyland, and Space Ranger Spin at Walt Disney World.
Yes.
What do you think? Not too many differences between these. Mostly the name, I would say. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes, but
But
there is one big difference and why I choose one over the other.
let's hear it.
I do prefer a Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters here at Disneyland for the sole reason that you can pick up the gun.
You can, okay. Good too. First of all, it's not a gun. It's a, what do they call it? A laser thing?
Blaster.
A blaster, exactly. That's a good point.
Yes,
It's
here
easier-
at Disneyland you can pick it up and move it around. At Walt Disney World they are
Mounted.
so you can only very limited range.
Okay.
I like the fact that you can pick it up and shoot.
Good to know.
At things.
I wouldn't disagree with you in that. I also like the name more here at Disneyland. The reason it was called Space Ranger Spin at Walt Disney World, it opened there first, and they thought that the thing that people would like about that attraction is the fact that you can spin the vehicle on your own. And then they found out that people actually like the fact that you get to shoot.
Yeah.
So they renamed it Astro Blasters here at Disneyland. But yeah, I think we would both agree. Disneyland better because of the name, because you can pick up the blasters.
Plus, if you want, you can get a free picture. But
You can't do that in Florida?
no.
It's not a ride that's good for a picture. It's not like there's any
And it's
moment
not
where you're
even
or
it's
anything.
for some reason, it's a terrible quality picture.
Well, I'm always concentrating really hard. My photo is always me with a really serious face. So, I never, ever get that photo. But ding, one for Disneyland.
yeah, Astro Blasters.
I'm so not going to keep track of this. And,
Anyway, everyone else can.
yeah. And then, of course, there's the Enchanted Tiki Room, which, of course, is a Disneyland original. And then went to Walt Disney World. It's really not too much different these days, but I want to mention the past of Florida's Tiki Room, because for a while there, I don't know the exact number of years, but it was under new management featuring
Iago
and Zazu from Lion King and Aladdin. And they've got a really bad rap. People hated it.
Yeah.
And then what happened was it caught on fire, and because people hated it, they just put it back to the original Enchanted Tiki Room. Listen, I'm all for the classic. I kind of liked having new characters in there. The thing that would have been blasphemy to me is if they had cut the theme song. If they'd cut that from the Florida one with the under new management, then it would have been what are you thinking? That's insanity. But they didn't. And I thought it was nice having new characters, but people hated it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I didn't really have a...
You don't love the Tiki Room.
No, it's not something I go to. Obviously, I love the song and I love the history behind it, but it's not it's kind of one of those I want to sit down, I'll go to the Tiki Room.
Yeah.
But no,
It's I want a Dole Whip. I'll go to the Tiki Room.
I don't want to wait in that line. But no, I think to me, the under new management thing was more so that they were they tried to change a classic, and then people don't do well with changing, especially a classic like the Tiki Room.
If it were the Disneyland one, I think I would have gotten more upset.
Yeah.
If it was the Walt Disney World, it wasn't the original, so I don't know. I'm so hypocritical when it comes to this, because if you touch certain things in my life, I'm don't you dare. But in a lot of cases, I'm nah, try something new. It's cool. So Tiki Room, I was try something new.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
They did, and it caught on fire.
It caught on fire. The Tiki God spoke.
It was nope.
So yeah, and it's back to normal. And I would, if I had to pick one, I would say Disneyland for historical sense.
Yeah.
Other
I would say maybe the pros of Florida is I think it's more spacious.
Probably. That's a good look.
But yeah.
Yeah. So do they have the Dole Whips in Florida? Yeah. It's next door.
It's not part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a bigger area.
Okay.
It's next to Sunshine Terrace, which where the orange bird originated.
Ah, yes. Now a biggie. Let's move on. The Haunted Mansion.
This is hard.
It is hard, but I have a winner.
Mine like flip flops.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like I liked
Okay.
I liked Orlando's
Uh-huh.
track. It's longer.
The updates are great.
The updates are great, especially the last room with the mirror section.
Oh, that's fantastic. They have updated projection, and they cut off your head and stuff, so it's cool.
Great. However, there's also pros to Disneyland now. I don't know why, but I just like the fact there's actually a working elevator.
Yes, the stretching room is definitely better at Disneyland. If you don't know, the stretching room in Disneyland was created because we needed to go underground to get to the showroom, so they created the stretching room elevator, so you're actually lowered. In Florida, they didn't need that, but they liked the room, and you can't really go underground in Florida because it's a lot of water, so the room stretches up, and it doesn't get nearly as tall, I don't believe, as Disneyland's. I don't think so. I feel like last time I was there, I was like, oh, this is kind of a short room. It was much shorter than I expected.
There's so many pros. Like, besides even the ride in general, they have two very different looks.
The exteriors, yeah. So that's what I was going to mention. The exterior of the Haunted Mansion and Disneyland is a mansion.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, and I must say I disagree with Walt on this. He always said that like the park was going to take care of the exterior of the building and the ghosts would take care of the inside, which is why when you look at the Haunted Mansion, it's very clean and pristine and stuff. I would like a scary Haunted Mansion personally. I think it would be fun to see that building decrepit. Sorry, Walt, but I disagree with you on that.
And then you move over to World, and it's kind of, it's not decrepit.
It's not even a mansion.
But it's creepy, but you don't even go through the house. You enter like underneath the house.
Yeah.
But then there's also the extended queue of Orlando, which I do like.
Which is interactive.
Yeah, which is fun. There's like fun things to play with.
We should say the one in Florida is very gothic castle look, which honestly I think they should have called it something different. I don't think it should be called the Haunted Mansion. I think it should be called the Haunted Castle. Paris calls it Phantom Manor, and Hong Kong has Mystic Manor. So, like, they're not afraid to change the name. I think they should have done that in Florida, personally.
Maybe Haunted Manor.
There we go. That works.
But then there's the ride itself. Disneyland, you the first thing you go to is the hallway scene with the floating candle. Where in World, you start out
kind of in the queue line.
Where you start in Disneyland, which is cool because you go through the library where all the busts look at you. But then Disneyland, they also added Hatbox Ghost.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I love the staircase room. I love the staircase room in Florida with the footsteps and stuff. I think that's great. The added effects in Florida, I think, are wonderful.
There's Madame Leota, the little one that's like part of the ride, and then Disneyland is like just exiting.
Does Madame Leota float in Florida?
Like the little one?
The ball.
Yes.
Okay. Because I know for a while only Disneyland did that.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But then the little Leota is part of the ride, but the lighting design in the World is not as good.
It's tough. If I had to choose, I think I would say World, because number one, I like the darkness of it. Like, I like the exterior more. I love the scene at the end where you take a ghost home and they cut off your head. I love the staircase room. I think I would, but I think that's a tough call.
Yeah, I would say World up until they added Hatbox Ghost, and then it became a toss-up.
Do you like him that much?
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I like him that much, so I think I would still say World is my favorite because it's longer, because I like the queue, especially there's that like stagecoach out front with like the horse that's like there, but like not there. There's a pet cemetery with Mr. Frog.
You're talking about Disneyland?
Yeah, no, World.
Well, Disneyland has that too. They have the stagecoach with the horse, and
it's not as prominent.
Okay.
I don't know the for me, I feel like there's just more to worlds than there is to lands. Although then you talk about overlays, then Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Oh yeah. If we're going Haunted Mansion Holiday, Disneyland wins.
But I would say world.
Well, moving on to one that's a little easier, Space Mountain.
Yes.
I think hands down Disneyland wins this. You know, they've had the refurb. They've got onboard music that is synchronized with the movements. You don't get a head. I actually like the double seats as opposed to the single row. Much more comfortable that way. I don't feel like I'm inside of a pinball machine when I'm at Disneyland's. The overlays are fantastic.
So good.
Of Hyperspace Mountain Ghost Galaxy, which they can't do in Florida. I mean, that's just a given, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay. The exterior.
Because I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I ride Space Mountain at World, I always wonder, am I gonna survive after this ride? I don't know.
It is a little scarier, I will say that. Florida's is scarier. It's also a little bit more painful. And I gotta say, if I don't go on it, I'm fine with that. I have no problem skipping Space Mountain at Florida. So, that one's easy. It's a small world. A classic attraction, of course. Do you have a preferred one?
Disneyland.
Yeah, of course. Disneyland. The exterior, so much better.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is it seems very outside of Fantasyland. I know technically it's in Fantasyland, but it's a little bit
Small World. It's like its own little land in Disneyland.
It's a small world land.
Yeah. Well, I like that area that pretty much is almost the parade route that exits Fantasyland into Small World. Is like I think it's known as a Small World Mall. Just the Small World area. Like that whole area is Small World. Yeah. So,
but if you look on a map, it's Fantasyland. So that's a little weird. I just love that it's like a separate building. I love that it's all white, monochromatic, that you can project on it here. It's so much better. I love, and I know traditionalists, going back to the Tiki Room thing here, I love the addition of the Disney characters in there. I think it's done so tastefully. To me, World's is so hidden. It's like in a show building, but like open, and it's just like I don't know. It's weird. They tried to recreate the Small World facade from Disneyland, like inside. Put it inside, and it's weird. The one thing that World has over land is the boats are not like in a tube, essentially. No, right? The whole thing is water. It's all flooded, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Whereas in Disneyland, it's you're basically riding a horizontal water slide. Yeah. So that is I don't like that. That actually bothers me a considerable amount, but not enough for me to pick World over Disneyland. Yes. Plus, sorry, but Happy Holidays, Small World. Small World Holidays, the best. Small World Holidays is one of the best things is, you know, we all love It's a Small World, but that song can get to you after a while. I just love that there's other Christmas songs added into that, and it's great. And plus, they do a really spectacular job with it. Oh yeah, it ran a very long time this year. Yeah, it ran like Small World into good amount of yeah. It was crazy. So So Disneyland again. Disneyland wins. What do we got? Disneyland for 1, 2, 3, 4 for Disneyland. 1 for World right now. Pirates of the Caribbean. Disneyland. You better start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. Disneyland. It's longer. Yeah, I think it's like the opposite of Haunted Mansion, where like I feel like Disneyland's Haunted Mansion is a abridged version of World's, and then World's Pirates is an abridged very abridged version of Disneyland. Well, fun fact: did you know it was never supposed to be at Walt Disney World? That was never the intention. They were going to put something entirely new there, but then I think the public, I don't think it was their opening day. God, I hope I'm getting this right. I could be mixing this up a little bit, but I believe Pirates was not their opening day, or at least wasn't supposed to be. And the public cried out like, no, we need Pirates of the Caribbean. Because it's not like they have New Orleans Square. Yeah. So they were like, oh, let's stick it in Adventureland. There's the whole sequence at the beginning with the skeletons, kind of non-existent in Walt Disney World. I'm sorry, but like I know this isn't even. I mean, it is part of the ride, but Blue Bayou, sets the mood so beautifully for that attraction, and there's nothing like that in Florida.
No,
so
you go right into it.
Yeah, the Blue Bayou restaurant, if you don't know what we're talking about, you basically ride through a restaurant.
I'd say the only pro to Disneyland's Pirates, or Walt Disney World's Pirates, is for some reason, Walt Disney World does queues better.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's definitely the themed queues.
Yeah, through the castle.
A lot better.
Or dungeon or whatever.
However, when it comes to the ride, Disneyland has the better ride.
Yep, and they're both flooded, and they both got Jack Sparrow, and they're well, how about that? What do you movie Pirates or without the movie Pirates? Would you go back to the original, or do you like having Jack Sparrow and Barbossa?
I don't mind it.
I kind of, you know what I like more than even the animatronics is having that score in there. Mm-hmm. That score to that film is very beautiful. Yeah. So I really like having it in there. So another one for Disneyland. Disneyland's winning.
Yeah.
This one's a little weird, but I think fair enough of a comparison. Snow White's Scary Adventures versus Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So there's Snow White's Scary Adventures at Disneyland.
It's so different.
They are so different, but it's the same characters. And
yes.
And I don't know. I think it's a fair enough comparison.
Based on just alone, if you were like, hey, do you want to ride this or this? I would ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Okay. Yeah, for the animatronics alone, I would ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. They're fantastic.
The fun thing I've always said about Snow White's Scary Adventures is
it scary?
It's scary, and to be honest, the ride is more so about the Queen than Snow White than anything.
Well, you know the whole story behind that, right? So initially,
do tell.
We're
Snow White.
We were Snow White.
Gotcha.
So you never actually saw Snow White in the attraction
because there is only one figure.
She wasn't even there.
Yeah.
So she was added after people were very confused as to what was going on, and I can't remember if this. I know at one point it wasn't called Scary Adventures, and I know that Scary was added because it was actually scaring children.
Yeah.
So, the Snow White wasn't in there, and she was added because of confusion. So it was supposed to be you were Snow White. It didn't work. To me, the biggest aggravation is the end. It's like, and the witch is dead, and they lived happily ever after.
Okay, but yeah, done.
It's very weird.
At least in Florida's version, there was an ending room with Snow White in the casket,
right? That's disturbing.
But with the prince was kissing her, and it was like, oh, butterflies. If there was between
the
Disneyland's, I would say Worlds was better.
Yeah.
But
that no
Seven
longer
Dwarfs Mine
exists.
Train is great.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say this is a fair comparison is because I know a lot of people don't love Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's not like it's like a...
To me, I don't think it's because it's a terrible ride. To me, it was supposed to be the highlight of New Fantasyland. It took the longest.
Yeah.
And there was just way too much hype for it.
It's the visual centerpiece, I think, more than anything. But, yeah. And it was the swaying thing that really upset people because it doesn't...
It doesn't really do that.
Yeah, it doesn't affect the ride all that much. So, yeah, but the animatronics. If you haven't seen video of the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train animatronics, check them out. The projected faces, that should be every animatronic from now on of an animated character.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then, of course, this is the biggie, Splash Mountain. This one's tough.
This is going to sound really picky, but the only reason I can think of is I like Worlds better because of the seating.
Oh, how is it? I can't. Is it dual?
2x2.
2x2.
Where Disneyland's is 1.
Isn't that interesting? They tend to do that. So Disneyland's was built first and has the single row seating, and Florida has the dual. And the reason that we have dual seating on Space Mountain at Disneyland is because that was refurbed after Florida's was open. So it's like, don't you think they'd learn, like, hey, capacity's better for 2?
Yeah.
And it tends to be more comfortable. And everybody wants to sit next to their friend. So, yeah, there's that. And also, is there not more indoor animatronic scenes in Florida? I feel like there is.
It differs, and there's that, like, there's not that mouse song they have at World, or they have it at Disneyland.
Which mouse
There's
song?
like the rat
depressing?
that's sweeping the broom is like don't
Da, da, da,
yeah, that's not
I
at
love
World.
that. Okay, I love that song.
Okay, I don't.
It's very dark. Anything dark, I love.
They're
Is she
very.
a mouse? She's like a possum.
I don't know
She's a
what
possum,
I
I
don't
think.
know what it is, but I can
And then the bunny.
I don't know. I just have a connection to Worlds more.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Worlds is
Plus,
better.
fun fact: I worked at Splash Mountain at World.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was your attraction.
and Thunder.
Zippity doo dah, zippity.
So I walked that track. I know the inside. I know the doors.
I do like how the train at Disneyland rides through Splash Mountain.
Yes,
I like that. That's a cute little touch.
Yes,
There's a really great hidden Mickey in Walt Disney World.
at Disneyland, it rides to or World.
Disneyland.
It rides to World as well.
Does it? The train?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I did realize that because that's where the hidden Mickey is, actually. I'm
Yeah.
going to point out. There's a really good hidden Mickey, and this isn't just like a 3-circle hidden Mickey. This is like a full-body hidden Mickey. I think it looks like he's laying on his back, if I'm remembering correctly. In that final scene with the big boat, you can see in the clouds, it looks like Mickey. I think he's laying on his back, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, that's a great hidden Mickey. Love it.
Cool.
So Walt Disney World wins that. This one, Tarzan's Treehouse versus Swiss Family Robinson.
Tarzan's Treehouse.
Tarzan's Treehouse. I know somebody that would personally kill me for saying that. Some folks.
I have never even seen Swiss Family Robinson. I think I read the book in like school. But
I did see it as part of a D23 event. I didn't love it. I think it's one of those things you got to kind of grow up with. And to be honest, the Swiss Family Polka drives me crazy. I do not like that song on the organ. It's on all those the CD collections of the parks.
Well, I'll take Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan's Treehouse. I love Tarzan. I'm happy to see something Tarzan in the parks because it seems to be a very forgotten movie. And yeah, I think they did a nice job with it at Disneyland. And yeah, it's fake tree. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, there's fun figures up there. I don't think there's like no figures.
It is a fun place. If you've actually never done it, and I bet you there are a lot of people watching this who have never done it,
Yeah.
check it out because there's
quick
more.
walkthrough, yeah.
But there's more up there than you'd probably realize or expect. So I'm a fan of it. Mm-hmm. Tarzan wins. Guess what? Disneyland again.
Disneyland.
Wow, Disneyland's so much better than Walt Disney World. Who knew? Jungle Cruise. Walt Disney World.
I was gonna say Walt Disney World
Yeah.
for the temple.
Yep, because they have an indoor temple portion of the attraction. But if we're talking about holiday overlays, their Jingle Cruise is terrible still. Disneyland got their stuff together and made a good Jingle Cruise. But as a set-apart ride, definitely Walt.
I can say one of the most memorable jungle cruises I had was at World, and I don't know if this is like a typical thing that a lot of skippers do, but I had one specific skipper while going into the temple scene quoted the Willy Wonka.
Oh yeah.
He was like,
There's so
and
many.
it's like faster, and like it's getting dark. I was like, this is great.
Yeah. It's a nice addition. Once again, it's just one of those things that like they made them. They learned from, I don't want to say mistakes, but they learned that it could be better from Disneyland's when they built Walt Disney World and said, well, let's make it better. Let's do an indoor portion. Let's add this stuff.
I
So,
do appreciate Shirley's temple.
and fun fact here, there's a spider inside the cave that is an exact replica of one in the Haunted Mansion. Ooh. So like props made a bunch of spiders and like, stick some in the Jungle
throw it in
Cruise,
here.
stick some in the Haunted Mansion.
be
So,
fine.
so it's good. So Walt Disney World wins that one. I like this one right here. This is a fun one. Radiator Springs Racers versus Test Track.
Radiator Springs Racers.
I would agree. Radiator Springs Racers. For theming
For
purposes.
theming and animatronics,
They are great animatronics.
thrill factor, Test Track.
Yeah, for sure.
Goes a lot faster.
But I would rather a good animatronic than a good thrill, to be honest.
Yeah, good story. Yeah.
Those vehicles are fantastic. I remember when they like premiered those vehicle animatronics and projection lips and stuff at the D23 Expo. And I was just like, this is fantastic. And there's one portion, I'm trying to think what part it is. I feel like it's right before the vehicle split off, where Lightning McQueen is like moving. Like the vehicle is like kind of swaying back and forth as he talks. and the mouth the projected on mouth is in perfect
yeah.
sync with it. And I'm always so impressed because that means like the projected mouth is moving in exact sync with the movement of the car. I'm like, nicely done, folks.
No, it's great. Yeah.
Very well done. Yeah, it's a obvious, and just like the surrounding area of that land.
Comparative to
literally
track,
backstage
when you're
cast
just like
member parking. It's crazy. So definitely Radiator Springs racers. Do we so Disneyland again? Do we have an opinion with Little Mermaid?
Worlds. Obviously, for the queue alone.
For the queue alone. Because the ride's pretty much the same.
It's the exact same.
Except Ursula does have lightning.
strobe light.
She has strobe in Florida. So that's but at least when I was there, maybe it was broken and they fixed it. But Sebastian did not have projected eyes like he does at Disneyland.
Oh no, he does.
He does. Okay, so when I was there, they replaced the figures.
Yeah. Worlds the queue is amazing. There's interactive games. There's
Prince Eric's castle.
There's a hidden Mickey that you can only see once a year.
Really?
Yeah, it's.
Oh, is it like a sun?
sun.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
It's great.
So yep, Little Mermaid goes to Walt Disney World. How about Monsters Inc. Mike and Sulley to the Rescue at Disney California Adventure, or Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor at the Magic Kingdom?
Mike and Sulley to the rescue.
I would agree. This is a classic type dark ride that I think is done really well. It tells the story really well, which, to be honest, a lot of them don't. In fact, I think it tells the story much better than Mermaid does.
Yeah.
The animatronics are cool. The Laugh Floor, I don't know. I'm not really.
I never go to it.
I think you have to be really young to enjoy those, maybe. But I don't. The whole interacting with the like Turtle Talk with Crush type of thing, it just doesn't do it for me. It's fine. It doesn't offend me or anything, but it's not my favorite thing on earth. So yeah, Mike and Sulley to the rescue, and I believe that's the only place you can do it is Disney California Adventure. One of the overseas parks, I think, I want to say Tokyo or Hong Kong, has a similar thing. But yeah,
it's like Buzz Lightyear, but Buzz Lightyear with flashlights.
With flashlights. So that's even more fun. But yeah, I like that one. This is a biggie in many ways. Tower of Terror. World. I used to have a very hard time deciding. Because of one thing at California Adventure that I really like, that I wish the world had, the mirror. I love the mirror effect of everybody seeing themselves and then disappearing. I love that. But after having recently done Florida's, it's so much better.
Yeah. I think even the queue is better. It's
I would
very
agree.
Secluded.
The design of the building, so much better.
I think the lobby's even bigger. The fact that you move forward, the randomization of the drop.
The randomization is, I still just don't understand why we don't have that here. The moving forward, I like so much more.
Honestly, the thing that I really hate about Disneyland is the fact that the elevator opens and there's still a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's an elevator. You go into the elevator.
The theming, and also
you unload and load at different areas at World, which themes it better as well.
Yeah, and I don't like the pushback at the beginning of Disneyland's because like you're immediately like, oh, this isn't an elevator anymore. Whereas like in Florida's, you're going up, and so like you're in an elevator, and then when you get to that attic sequence and move forward, you're like, oh man, now I'm entering the Twilight. So like, I don't know, it's just better. And I love that whole attic sequence, even though it's kind of cheesy. Like those,
it's cool. Like
it's cheesy in the way that Twilight.
There's actually almost like a mirror scene where there's like a bubble where it shows you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then like the light opens.
That is the best.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the beam of light that splits down the wall and spreads open. That is like one of my favorite effects, and it's not that difficult. But oh my god, it's a spectacular effect.
And then you just like know you're outside because you just feel heat.
Yep, it's like oh, no more AC. Yeah, definitely Florida's, and like I said, I think the building visually is so much superior, and I think it's even taller.
Yes,
in Florida.
Have you ever seen there's a YouTube video of it getting struck by lightning, and it's really cool.
No, Florida's.
Yeah,
jeez, I gotta check that out.
It's super cool.
That sounds cool. Grizzly River Run versus Kali River Rapids. So Grizzly River Run is at Disney California Adventure, Kali River Rapids at Disney's Animal Kingdom. These are like the tube water rides. Do you have a preference?
I've never ridden Grizzly River Run.
What? Patrick! What?
Yeah.
What? Wow.
I'm not a fan of getting wet.
But like even on a hot summer day when you're ready to head home, you're not like, "Yeah, let me do it just so I can say I've done it."
No, not yet.
Okay. I would pick Kali River Rapids, which I've only done once, and the only reason for it is because there's fire in it, and
There's
I'm
fire.
a pyromaniac.
But Color River Rapids is also very pushy on its message.
Yeah, a little.
They're like, look around. People
Preserve.
destroyed this.
Yeah.
You need to preserve it. Oh, here you're gonna get wet too.
Yeah.
But I would have to go with Kali because I've been on Kali River.
I can't believe you've never done it.
Yeah, I've never done Grizzly.
That's crazy. Okay, here's a biggie, although we already know the answer to this one. Dinosaur versus Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. I did meet somebody recently who preferred Dinosaur, which,
I mean, I love Dinosaur too, obviously.
yeah.
It's Disneyland. My favorite ride is Indiana Jones World. My favorite ride is Dinosaur.
Yeah.
I can quote the whole ride of Dinosaur. I love the script and how cheesy it is, and it's great. But I just
Give us a little.
no.
Just a little bit.
No,
Come on. Is that our dinosaur?
that's not it.
What is it? Correct me.
Sorry.
That's your trivia today. It quotes. What is a quote from the dinosaur?
We'll have to wait till trivia time.
Okay. Yeah, I would go with Indiana Jones. And that's kind of a big deal because I'm a huge dinosaur fan. Not the movie, but just dinosaurs in general. I love much more so than Indiana Jones even. But the boulder scene, that's like a one-of-a-kind finale to a ride. When that thing's working correctly, that's a beautiful, beautiful finale. Even much more so than a Carnotaurus or whatever it's called coming toward you.
Yeah.
It's also much more lit, and you can actually see what's going on in Indiana Jones. So yeah, Indiana Jones for sure.
I mean that moment when the Carnotaurus is like running next to you.
That is fantastic.
That's great.
That's a beautiful, beautiful scene. But yeah, Indiana Jones. So let's go. Count on your fingers real quick. So Buzz Lightyear was.
Now let's go get that dino.
Thank you. There you go. You count
4-wheel drive.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
You count Disneyland. I'll call it.
I don't have enough fingers.
We'll just try. Buzz Lightyear, Disneyland. Tiki Room, Disneyland. Haunted Mansion, Walt Disney World. Space Mountain, Disneyland. It's a Small World, Disneyland. Pirates of the Caribbean, Walt Disney World.
No.
I'm sorry, Disneyland. You're right. Snow White, Scary Adventure versus Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Walt Disney World. Splash Mountain, Walt Disney World. Tarzan's Treehouse versus Swiss Family, Disneyland. Jungle Cruise, Walt Disney World. Radiator Springs versus Test Track, Disneyland. Little Mermaid, Walt Disney World. Monsters Inc. Was Disneyland. Tower of Terror, Walt Disney World. Grizzly River Run versus Kali, Walt Disney World. Dinosaur versus Indy, Disneyland. So you got
9 versus 7.
9 versus 7. Closer than we thought.
Wow.
So, yeah, not too shabby.
No.
But I think that's going to do it for our countdown. That was a fun little countdown. But that means it's trivia time. Would you like to hit me first, or shall I hit you?
I'll go first.
Let's hear it.
It's not really a trivia, but there's another 2 attractions that are very similar. Well, I wouldn't say very similar. They're similar in the fact that they share kind of the same character,
Okay.
animatronic.
Okay. Just get your question out.
Do you know what it is?
So there's a ride at Disneyland and one at Walt Disney World that share an animatronic.
They share this kind of the same story, but not really.
Okay.
Because they are set in 2 different locations.
Okay.
They share a similar animatronic in the species, but one is significantly larger than the other one.
Are we talking about Figment?
No, what would be at Disneyland?
I don't know if you're talking about like the Maleficent dragon and Fantasmic or something. I'm very confused by your question.
It's a ride.
It's a ride. Okay, what land is it in Disneyland?
Fantasy.
Okay, so there's Mr. Toad.
Nope.
So there's Peter Pan.
Nope.
Oh, Alice in Wonderland.
Nope.
In Fantasyland?
I think it's a Fantasyland.
Casey Jr.'s.
Nope.
The Storybook Land.
Nope.
There's Dumbo. The carousel.
No.
King Arthur's carousel and then the Princess carousel.
No, this is the animatronic.
It's an animatronic. So there's Snow White. There's Pinocchio. There's Mr. Toad.
I can tell you the one in World is a lot better.
What's the one? Oh. I'm so confused. There's literally Snow White, Pinocchio, and then Peter Pan, Mr. Toad.
I'm pretty sure it's in Fantasyland.
And then there's the Matterhorn and Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Okay. The Matterhorn and Mount Everest. What about it?
They're very similar.
Okay. Fair enough. The Abominable Snowman is much better. Well, even when he's not working, I'd say he's better. And although the new one in the Matterhorn is pretty cool.
The what? Is it supposed to be the Abominable Snowman or the Yeti? I thought they're
It's
supposed
one
to
and
be
the
Yetis
same.
in
It's
both
the
of them.
same thing, right?
But Expedition Everest is
the better one.
It's
Yes,
1,000 times
absolutely.
better.
Okay, that was a weird trivia question.
It wasn't on there, and I was just like, this should be on there, but
Okay.
I want to see if you could get it.
Okay.
Obviously, you couldn't.
I kind of got it. It is fantasy.
I'm sure everyone else was like, Jeff.
I don't think so. I think they were like, Patrick, what are you talking about?
We'll see. See if you
Leave a
guys
comment
got it.
below and let us know if you were confused. We're talking about Test Track and Radiator Springs Racers.
Uh-huh.
They're both fast rides, but one is much faster, of course, Test Track. What is the
Top speed?
top speed for both?
Oh. I know. Are we generalizing top
Yeah.
speed? 60 miles an hour for Test Track.
A little faster.
It's like 62 or 65.
65 miles per hour for Test Track. How fast do you think Radiator Springs Racers gets?
35?
Nope.
25.
Nope.
Less than 25.
Nope.
More than 25.
More than 25.
Like 30.
More than that.
No.
Yep. At least according to the Disney
More than
blogs and stuff,
35?
more than 35.
40?
40 miles per hour for Radiator Springs
I
Racers.
don't believe it.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. So 65 for Test Track, 40 for Radiator Springs Racers. I think that's going to do it for us this week. That was fun. If you guys have any preferences or disagree with us or anything, leave a comment below on YouTube or on SoundCloud. Or you can shoot us an email at DisneyCoastToCoast@gmail.com. Of course, connect with us between episodes at places like
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, our blog posts on Tumblr.
Yeah, and you can find all of that at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. Thanks for joining us this week. We will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.